So as shown in the lab report, there are 8 signals coming in, 2 for each side of the road. So for academic, there would be 4 sensors, uh, for which 2 would be going straight on either lane and 2 would be going left on either lane. And these signals on the left here are the OR signals between the straight for either lane, the left for either lane, and the same for bravado. So there are 2 bits of main computation here. One is this block, which takes in the initial state S2, S1, S0, and gives an output of S2, S1, and S0 plus, which would go back into this to determine the next state. The input to this block of logic is also the signal inputs from TA straight, TA left, TB straight, and TB left. So in this block, if we open the state logic, this is just a computation to figure out what the next state would be, S2 plus, S1 plus, and S0 plus, based on the previous state, S2, S1, and S0, and the inputs that are coming in from the traffic sensors, A straight, A left, B straight, and B left. So this, for any previous state, would give us a new state based on the inputs we have. This output would go through 3 registers, one for each previous state, and then would loop back to provide the previous state to the computational logic. The second bit of computational logic we have is combinatorial logic is this, which would convert each state into an output in terms of the signals and which lights are on and which lights are off. So this takes in just the 3 inputs, S3, S2, S1, and S0, and converts them into outputs such as green light on academic, yellow light on academic, left green light on academic, and red light on academic, and the same for bravado. So this is again basic combinatorial logic to convert the states into lights. The output from this goes into the signal outputs, which would be the red, yellow, and green for left. So this one here is the enable, is the reset button. So when you set that to 0, everything gets set to 0. When it's 1, the simulation is enabled. So if I if I switch on the simulation and start the clock, as you can see on the right, it went from green to yellow to green on the left, and then we just cycle through all the possible states. So there are 4 possible states for each lane, where you have academic green, yellow, red with a left, and red without a left, and the same for bravado. So right now, as you can see on the left, there's no traffic on any of the lanes, but if I set TA straight to 1, then as you can see, it's green on 1, it's green for academic until this goes to 0, in which case it'll go back to cycling through all the possible states. Now if I set traffic on multiple points, such as straight on academic and left on academic, as well as left on bravado, it's going to stay on left on bravado in this case until the traffic is no longer there on bravado, in which case the input will turn to 0. The moment it turns to 0, it'll go back to the state of straight on academic, and once the traffic clears on academic, that also goes to 0, and it'll say left on academic until that turns to 0 as well. Now the whole system can be reset to the first state 000, which is just green on academic, by setting this to 0, which will switch off the enable on the resistors, and it would just stop the simulation at that point. So the change in the clock would not have any change in the output. Setting this back to 1, you enable the simulation and you go back to outputting the states.